What's up everyone, Roger here from DisKingdom.com. A quick update for you guys on some Infinity stuff. It is Friday, but there's been a load of news coming in overnight. First off, let's get into the good news. So first off, there was some images that came out of the Alice in Wonderland figures. They were out in some of the stores. You might not be able to pick them up just yet. They aren't really supposed to be out for another week or so. So big thank you to Bill for sending them over. So here we can see the figures. You've got Time, Mad Hatter, and Alice, and you can see they're all based on the new Alice Through the Wonderland, Alice Through the Looking Glass movie. You can see here, kind of really sort of see how good those figures look. Can't wait to pick them up. Especially quite happy about the Mad Hatter one. I think he looks good. The dress on Alice looks very, very intricate, and they've also, you can see here on the bases, you can see that they're kind of all standing on like teacups, which kind of makes sense. Now, as I said, these should be coming out in the next coming weeks, so just keep an eye out in your stores and stuff, because generally I think the actual release date is maybe a bit softer on this. They just kind of want to get them out when they get them out, so definitely want to check them out. They're not a playset or anything. I know a lot of people have been asking about the playset, but no, that's not going to be happening anytime soon. And then there was a really kind of depressing article over at Kodaku where they were talking about what was going to be coming out with Disney Infinity in the future. Now, they basically confirmed that that there's a whole host of different information coming through. So let's just go into some of this here. Rogue One was the playset that was going to be working on. Ninja Theory were working on that. And then Studio Gobo were working on a Moana playset. I am really hoping that these maybe get some kind of use, and maybe the developers can do something with those games, because I'd love to see maybe a Moana game come out in like a small game. But it really depends if Disney have literally just cut the costs and just paid them off, and that's the end of it, which is a real shame. There was also set to become some 12-inch figures were going to be coming this fall. They were going to be priced at $45 each, and they were going to have a whole host of ones. We're going to get Elsa, Buzz Lightyear, Hulkbuster, Darth, I think Jack Skellington here was going to be in there as well. It's a really odd kind of just thing. If they were going to light up, it's just, you know, crazy to think that there would have been 12-inch figures that, you know, this big. That would have been quite interesting. But also, we kind of find out what was going on with 4.0. They were going to introduce one big story mode, incorporating all the things, one big like play set kind of thing, which is exactly what everyone has been asking about. There was also plans for the upcoming movies. Let's see here. We had Cars 3, Star Wars Episode 8, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales, Coco, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and 4 Ragnarok. They were all going to be included in there. But the big problem for Disney Infinity really seems to stem from what really happened with the crossover from 1.0 into 2.0, because there was problems getting hold of stock in 1.0 with some of the characters. They were massively months behind in terms of getting hold of the figures, because it was so popular. I think especially like maybe Anna and Elsa or so on, because they underestimated the popularity. They then went full blast into kind of over generating too much product for, because they just expected just to keep growing. Apparently they made 2 million Hulk figures and only 1 million of them sold. So which might explain that one visit to the supermarket I had, where literally the entire Disney Infinity section was just full of Hulks. That could be a reason for that one. Also, there was, you know, conflict between Disney and Star Wars and Marvel. Apparently, like Yondu was a character that got added in, and they couldn't give that one away, and it was basically Marvel, the developers, just thinking, right, we've got to shovel this in there. There was also the thing with Star Wars Rebels. I don't think they were originally going to be part of something that they wanted to bring in, and that was kind of forced on them. And obviously these characters, you know, they've all added to the cost, and that's been the big issue, I think, for Disney Infinity, is the costing has just kept going. This is not one minor issue. This is problems building up over years. And it's quite hard to read all this stuff as a Disney Infinity fan, because essentially this is what we were going to get. This is what the plan was, and it sounds great. I mean, I'm not too sure on the 12-inch figures. I'm kind of glad that I'm not going to have to worry about getting them. But, you know, all those play sets, like I said, I really hope we get to see all this content being spread out to other developers. You know, maybe put out $10-15 small games, you know, do it that way. And just, I'm just hoping that, you know, if there's any work gone into things like Moana, they've kind of been able to make the most of that, rather than us getting no video game content at all because of this. But it's hard to know what's going on. Stuff for those other movies, again, it'll be interesting to see how that works in terms of licensing out this game to other developers. Now, this is the thing with licensing out, because obviously like Studio Gobo and Ninja Theory have been working on those ones already. They aren't Disney. You know, they could do something different if they wanted to, if they did the license, and they've got to sell it through Disney. So we just don't know what's going to be happening. It's a very dark time for Disney Infinity fans. And there's a lot of people reading this and being quite upset with what they could have got. Personally, I still feel that in my heart, as much as there's been issues, I still think they should have finished off the 3.0 life cycle, done those playsets that they announced, and just ended the and started wrapping up there, rather than doing the way they did it, where they just whacked it down. Maybe had they sort of had the rest of the year to sell those figures and stuff, it might have helped. That's my own personal feeling, and maybe that would have been a nice closure, rather than the sort of the abrupt end of, you know, it's maybe hard for some people to understand if you don't play the game, because, you know, yeah, if you buy Uncharted 4 and you play the game, you buy it and then you sell it on or whatever. With Infinity, it was never really finished. And when you've been told, it's like being told you've got the last 2 levels of another video game and suddenly you can't play them. So yeah, you get a bit frustrated. I'd love to know your thoughts on this news. We're going to be discussing this a bit more in the next issue of the Infinity and Beyond podcast. You want to check that one out on Monday, but you might also want to check out our previous video where we were talking about the news from earlier this week. Anyway, guys, comment below, let me know what you think, and I shall see you guys in a later video. Laters.